the tying run left standing at third base in the World Series, the Royals gave Kansas City and the Heartland the thrill of a lifetime. But at Kauffman Stadium, there was unfinished business. Work began immediately for a return to the Fall Classic. And now, 9 months and 100 games later, the Royals have shown that they mean business, posting the best record in the American League. Unwilling to stand pat at the trade deadline, they've added one of the best pitchers in baseball, as well as one of the best all-around players in the game. Johnny Cueto makes his Royals debut next.
Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. It is game 2 tonight between the Royals and the Blue Jays after Toronto hit 3 home runs in game 1 last night and won 5-2. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Joel Goldberg and Jeff Montgomery are coming up. If you look at the 6-month schedule, this is just one game out of 162, and yet it feels much bigger than that, doesn't it?
It's exciting, and for players, heck, they're really pumped. Now, Cueto is the first organization he's pitched for outside of his own Cincinnati Reds. But for the position players behind him, this is exciting. They're pumped. They finally got an ace, and they are always good defensively, but I can tell you they had that little extra edge tonight as they want to watch Cueto perform, and they hope he hits that ball to him because they're going to make the play for it.
Impressive numbers on our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. And you have to remember, these are numbers for Cueto pitching in maybe the most hitter-friendly ballpark in the National League. So we're excited. We know you're excited back home. The players, the coaches, and the manager are excited too. And with Reed on that, let's go down to Joel and Monty.
And Ryan and Hud, we are also excited about it. The Royals have only had pitchers, Monty, go 8 innings or more 2 times this year. Johnny Cueto's done it 6, our 100 most trusted player.
Well, that's why he's so important to this rotation, Joel. He's going to add to those numbers. They're at the bottom in innings pitched in the league and quality starts. Johnny Cueto brings a lot to the table.
And so Johnny will make his debut for the Royals here in Toronto. And as for all those teammates, they got a pretty good look at what they can expect back on May 19th when they faced him.
He's a guy you can't really get comfortable off of because, he mixes up the, his leg kick, and you change your timing on it, so you really don't know what he's going to come with. And, you throw the stuff on top of that with his changeup, and, it makes for a tough at-bat.
So he definitely is very deceptive. As you see, he does a lot of motions and turning and all kind of crazy things to just keep you off balance, and that's the biggest thing I notice about him. So, like I say, just happy he's over here now.
The Blue Jays feel like they have their first star in David Price on the mound since Roy Halladay. Guys, the Royals feel the same way. First star since Zach Greinke.
And Johnny Cueto, among other impressive numbers, he brings with him into the game tonight a 39-inning streak without allowing a home run. That comes in handy when you're facing the Blue Jays. The first pitch is coming up next. schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Visit your local Kansas City dealer for great deals on all the new 2015 vehicles. Johnny Cueto greeted by Royals fans sitting back of the first base dugout. The Royals come into tonight with an 8-game lead over Minnesota after losing last night. Minnesota won its game. And let's see if the Royals can get the offense going. They scored 2 runs in the top of the first inning last night, and now the Royals have scored just 5 runs in their last 3 games. And it's very tempting to think that they're going to have a big game tonight based on who they're facing. Toronto right-hander Drew Hutchinson, who has an ERA of 5.42, but that's all together. He is much better here at Rogers Center.
I'll say last 5 home starts, he's 5-0 with a 0.83 ERA. So he's been really good here at home, but the opponents are hitting 296 off of him. That's a nice little number that for Royals hitters that like to feast on that frenzy style. Fastball, slider, changeup. He's not overpowering, although he's got a good fastball. He'll go 90 to 93 with that pitch.
So the Royals have their new ace, and now the Blue Jays have their new ace. David Price just arrived a few moments ago. He will meet with the media for the first time here after the game. Alcides Escobar takes strike 1, and we are underway.
Well, the good thing about it is the Royals can see him in that dugout, and that'll be the only time they see him.
Breaking ball for a strike. David Price is scheduled to pitch on Monday for Toronto, so he will miss this series. Escobar had a couple of bad luck outs last night, still 0 for 4, and now 0 for his last 14 as he reaches out and pulls it to third. Close, but out. And that's how the game begins. And now the Blue Jays defensively behind Hutchinson. And a couple of changes from last night's starting lineup, and that would be Russell Martin behind the plate and Justin Smoke at first base.
Yep, Russell Martin, he's really good throwing runners out if there are any runners get on there for Hutchinson. Hutchinson gets the ball home quickly. It'll make it tough on guys. See that fastball? There's a little bit of two-seam tailing to it. He will elevate that pitch a lot. He likes to use his fastball up in the zone, a lot like Estrada did last night and was successful. There's his changeup, 84 to 86. It's got some small sink to it. And, you know, as the game goes along, he'll use that changeup. Sometimes he'll double up with it and sometimes even triple up with it 3 times in a row, especially to lefties with runners in scoring position.
Moustakas trying to go the other way. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He was 0 for 4 last night, so the Royals top of the order held down by the Blue Jays pitching as Escobar and Moustakas were 0 for 8 last night. 2-2. Look out.
There's that high fastball again. He saw the success that Estrada had, so he's going to be testing Royals up above the belt. Slider is important that he gets some good depth to it. He needs that downward angle on his slider. When it's not, it's a little bit flatter and it's easier to barrel up. Who's 0 for 4 against Hutchinson?
Up until about 10 minutes ago, the roof was closed. It is a gorgeous warm evening in Toronto, and the thinking was that Hutchinson is a fly ball pitcher, and it's more pitcher friendly when the roof is closed. Off of Hutchinson's glove, and he'll take care of Moustakas. 2 down. Royals were preparing to have the roof closed for the game. There was no sign that it was going to open at all. And then just a few moments before the first pitch, they rolled the roof back. which will allow the ball to carry more to the outfield.
If that warm, humid air gets circulating in here, hopefully the Royals will have some success in putting a couple over the wall. However, we saw them swing for the fences last night, and that's not their game. A lot of flyouts, and you know, Estrada, he realized the Royals were all trying to have bigger swings than they normally have, and took them out of their game. Royals are,
as you were saying,
yeah, Royals are more singles and doubles type hitters. They want to stay in their game if they can. Lorenzo Cain's never faced Hutchinson before, and he took a mighty rip.
Angel Hernandez, home plate umpire, reminding Lorenzo, hey man, don't mess up my plate.
Yeah, and get back in the box. Let's go.
That's hit well into right center field, and that's going to go deep. Well, the Royals scored 2 in the first inning last night after 2 outs and nobody on, and now Cain doubles with 2 down. And now Lorenzo Cain has more extra base hits this year, and this is game 102, than he did all of last year.
Yep, he's a different player this year with a lot more confidence. The athleticism, you know, the strength, his feet, his hands, that all speaks for itself. But he's a much stronger mentally than he was last year. And with 2 outs, he's hitting .391. He's been awesome. That leads the league.
And now Hosmer, who has a 12-game hitting streak, and he is 6th in the league with that .315 batting average. Cain takes off for third, and Donaldson made an outstanding play to keep that ball from going into left field, and that saved a run.
He's 3rd in the league with now 19 steals. Right away, and you were right, Donaldson saved a run. I'm surprised Martin rushed the throw. He had the bag easily. Ooh, look at the hands there. Great pick.
Now Donaldson made a move to third base, trying to pick off Cain. Russell Martin didn't throw down there. And now 3-0. Hosmer doesn't just have a 12-game hitting streak. He is hitting .500 during that hitting streak. And in 8 of those 12 games, he has multi-hits. His career high is 16. He did that last year. And Hutchinson pitches him very carefully. So, just like the first inning last night, 2 outs, nobody on. Cain reaches, Hosmer reaches. And if the form chart stays the same, then Kendrys Morales is going to drive in 2.
Well, he's another hitter. It's hard to explain why, but he's got 36 2-out RBIs, Morales. So he's the right man in the right spot. Now, that was a 3-2 pitch. Okay, most hitters are looking fastball. That was a changeup, and he just really showed how smart a hitter he is. He wasn't trying to juice it out of the park. He just wanted to put it in play and stay in the center of the field with it, and it was a beautiful stroke. Another good hitter with 2 outs.
Fair ball.
Yes.
Will he do it again? Carrera plays the carom off the side wall. Hosmer has to hold at third. And that is a league-leading 71 RBIs for Kendrys Morales. And now the Royals have scored in the first inning in 4 of their last 6 games.
28th double. I mean, you can't slice it by the bag any better, any tighter. That was a perfect swing. Going the other way. Fastball away, a little late on it, but that was perfect. Watch this angle. Great angle here we got. Nice call. I mean, that went right over the back. Lorenzo's trying to help third base umpire Chris Conroy out, and definitely helped Johnny Cueto out, giving him a run. Royals are dangerous with 2 outs.
A little bit inside to Ben Zobrist, who was hitless in his Royals debut last night. One of his outs was a line out to left field.
Zobrist, a good opportunity here to get his first hit as a Royal. A couple of guys on, a couple of stakes out there.
Changeup was called a strike.
Hutchinson wanted that first pitch. He thought that ball was perfectly placed on the inner half. See Zobrist with that chin tucked into his right shoulder.
And that will get through the right side. Morales will be waved home. Bautista's throw. Didn't get it.
Oh, what a slide.
Kendrys Morales came up short. Martin whiffed on the tag, and Morales gets his foot on the plate.
Bautista, he's saying, wait a minute, we got to show that one again. Morales, he looked like he stopped his slide before the tag of Russell Martin. And then he proceeded, after Martin pulled the ball away, to touch the plate. We'll see if that's exactly what we saw here. Jershely taking the chance. But you know, the way these Blue Jays score runs, you can't blame Jershely for trying to get another run here.
Wait a minute.
I don't know if the angle that Angel Hernandez had, watch where Angel is. He's in back of Martin, so there's no tag there. Okay, did he tag him right there on the foot? No, it looks like he missed him. So that's what Angel saw. Look at this angle. Okay, look at Morales. He stopped shy of the plate. Russell Martin never tagged him. Camo put a little mojo on him. What a slide. I bet Russell Martin's never had a slider come in like that. That was outstanding. We got some early action here tonight.
And once again, with 2 outs and nobody on. Kane doubles, Hosmer walks, Morales doubles, Zobrist singles in 2. And now it's 1-1 on Salvador Perez. Royals lately not only scoring in the first inning, and I mentioned now 4 of the last 6 games, but in 3 of those it's been 3 or more runs in the first inning. Remember, they had a 4-run game against Dallas Keuchel in the final game of the Astros series, and then the first game of the Cleveland series they got 3 runs in the first inning.
The Royals, they score their runs early, and sometimes they take a break in the middle innings and then they score late. It's kind of been their pattern. But last night they scored early and didn't score again. So get some early runs for Cueto, all with 2 outs.
Royals are 3rd in the major leagues in runs scored with 2 outs. It's been a specialty. And now Zobrist safe at second base. And the second baseman Goins wants the Blue Jays to take a second look. It looked like from up here that he just got his left hand in front of the tag. The Blue Jays may use a challenge.
Look at that pick. Wow. That was some kind of pick on a ball 3 feet in front of him. Really close over there. It's all about the tag. Can you get that tag down quickly from the throw? Martin with an excellent throw. I mean, that ball, that angle we had from the first base dugout, really a super pick.
My question is, can you prove that there was contact with Goins' glove on Zobrist's forearm? Because it looked like the glove was in the area of his forearm before he got to the bag.
Well, the Blue Jays fans here, they saw a replay on the board. Wasn't this one?
Maybe there it looked like it got him on the forearm or the wrist.
You know what? We'll take the 3 runs if it is overturned. See, when you start your slide early like that, it slows you down. That's the problem sometimes with going head first. And if you slide late head first, sometimes you slide over the bag.
See that angle right there? I don't think you can prove that there was actual contact. And here's where we get into what seems like the adjustment in replay this year compared to last year. Last year, there seemed to be a lot of, well, it looked like he got him, so he's out. And this year, it looked like fill in the blank isn't enough.
Well, you could tell the amount of respect that Ben Zobrist has around the league by looking at those Blue Jays. They're over there just hanging out. Zobrist is on second base. It's them. It's those guys who came over to hang out with him. He can't go anywhere.
One of those guys is Jose Bautista, who came in from right field to talk to him.
Right. Very respectful player the Royals picked up. And Zobrist with his first Royals knock. Two RBIs. And Morales, he earned that run with that tremendous slide. A lot of action here early.
Well, I'm not into predictions, but I think now they're going to say he's out before they even took the headsets off, and they were going to prove me wrong that the longer it goes, more times than not, the call stands. So Johnny Cueto takes his show on the road from Cincinnati to the Royals.
An awkward swing and another strikeout to Cueto.
Cueto is really settled in. Back-to-back Ks and a swing miss 10 tonight. Johnny Cueto.
On the mound, and the Blue Jays are going to throw a full batting order against him tonight. Edwin Encarnacion is back in there, so Tulowitzki, Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion at the top of the Blue Jays order. And for Cueto, this is just his third career start against the Blue Jays, his second here. He faced them last year in Cincinnati and beat them 4-3.
Well, any starting pitcher will tell you on the road, he toes the slab with a nice lead like that. That's a bonus. Quick pitch right away. First pitch. I showed you all the pitches he throws. 90 to 94 on velocity. He throws all pitches to both sides of the plate and at any count. Different looks.
Jammed in badly. Escobar, bare hands. There you go, Johnny. Enjoy the defense.
Like I said in the open, the defenders are excited to have Johnny Cueto, and they'll be as airtight as usual. And how about the pickoffs? Look at him. He's also not only deceptive to the hitter when he's throwing the pitch to him over there. He's been doing a great job. Escobar coming in on his toes. That ball's not exactly a slow roller. It took a big hop on him, and he picked it and threw. No problem. 2 quick pitches already, and there's a third abbreviated pitch. This guy creates as he goes along, folks. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch him pitch.
And a lot of the guys in the lineup have never seen him before. And now Donaldson is jammed. 2 up, 2 down.
You just don't face pitchers like this that are that creative. Pitches, throws all of his pitches to both sides of the plate. Any count, different looks. Quick pitches over there. He'll over-rotate his hips at times. He comes right at you.
Slider for a strike, and that was late breaking.
I don't think Bautista asked to see that ball. Maybe I'm wrong.
Whatever.
Well,
we'll take it.
Yeah, Cueto, he knows his defense, and he knows who to get him to hit it at. That was beautiful work.
We'll spend the next 2 minutes during commercial to try and describe what he did with his body with this last pitch.
What a beautiful thing. Flashback to Louis Tiant. Hitter can't see the ball.
Salvador Perez leads off the second inning. He was at the plate when Zobrist was caught stealing to end the first.
Yeah, he has what I like to call the bonus at bat. The count was 2-2, so he saw 4 Hutchinson pitches, and the at bat didn't count. Bonus.
I hope he was just upset with that swing because he reacted as though something hurt.
I think he was upset.
Base hit left field. Well, whatever was hurting, it's not hurting now. So he's on to begin the second inning after the Royals got 3 2-out runs in the first.
Well, just like the Houston Astros in their first game of that 3-game series back at the K, they had their new guy out there, Scott Kazmir. And the team, you could tell they were scoring early for him. They got him 4 runs early. You know, they were excited to play for their new guy, and so are the Royals. They're amped. Brings energy. It brings an excitement. Now you can tell by the crowd it's not exactly a playoff environment here, but these two teams are fun to watch.
I thought for a moment that Mike Moustakas had been announced into the game, but no, those were boos for Alex Rios, the former Blue Jay. Bautista comes up and makes a play in right field. 1 on, 1 out. Remember, you can own a piece of last year's postseason. The Royals and Jostens have teamed up to provide the only officially licensed American League Championship fan collection with fan rings, necklaces, cufflinks, key rings, and more. Go to Royals.com/fanrings. By the way, Johnny Cueto needed 6 pitches to get through the bottom of the first inning. So Hutchison, who gave up 3 in the first inning, didn't have hardly any time to get a drink of water and catch his breath. And the Royals ace, new ace, had him right back out on the mound again.
I don't know if we've seen a 6-pitch inning all year. Half inning.
Good pitch over the outside. Drew Hutchinson made his big league debut 3 years ago at Kauffman Stadium, going from Double-A right to the big leagues. Royals knocked him around. Got 5 earned runs off of him and 5 in the 3rd innings.
Salvy's got to like that attention Hutchinson just showed him. Thinking he might rip a bag off. Oh, man.
And that even bothered Russell Martin, the catcher.
I don't know how Omar was able to get out of the way of that. Wow. Let's see how close that came. Whoa, man.
Live.
I'm sure that Omar is seeing flashbacks of last season early when he got clipped on the cheek, right below the cheek.
But he hangs in there on a slider. Well, that brings back some bad memories from April of last season. Remember, Omar was just getting his Royals career started. And it was against the Tampa Bay Rays when Heath Bell hit him on the left side of the face.
You know, him and Heath Bell were teammates. They were friends. It wasn't intentional. It just got away, kind of like Hutchinson's did right there. Tried to inside fastball, and sometimes that ball gets away. But Infante, that's exactly what you do when you see that ball coming at you anywhere. You turn quickly to the backstop. Oh.
Fastball away, strikes him out. 2 down. Alcides Escobar opened the game with a ground out to third base, and now hitless in his last 15 at bats. He has done well against Hutchinson in 7 career at bats. And he hits that ball hard the other way. But Bautista is there, and that's the inning.
Good swing.
second inning. We look at our Toyota League leaders. Ranks for Major League starters since 2011. And in the top 4 categories there, Cueto second only to Clayton Kershaw. He got the Blue Jays on 6 pitches in the bottom of the first inning and 3 ground balls to Escobar at short.
You know, it's just amazing. From you, as you're a hitter, he changes his delivery every pitch. It's something different.
Coming back our way. And I wonder too how much of it is predetermined, or if he just kind of starts his motion and what feels good. You know, does he say to himself, okay, I'm going to go the fastball and I'm going to quick pitch. I'm going to go the changeup and I'm going to delay my motion, or is it just
it's a feel thing?
Yeah, kind of like facing your uncle in the backyard wiffle game during a barbecue.
It's exactly what it's like for him. Obviously, he's going to do all of those gyrations and everything with his hip turning, but his hands are separating over his front leg at the right time all the time. That's the thing that Dave Island was sharing with us about him and why he's able to do that and do these different gyrations.
What did Dave call it? Body awareness.
That's right. Looks like Encarnacion is having some problems with his left middle finger, and he's taking that off of the bat in his swing, so he doesn't look comfortable at all. Maybe he's got a little issue going there.
Trying to slow down Cueto, and Angel Hernandez helped him out, and there he is working on that left middle finger. He missed the 2 previous games because of that. Wednesday against Philadelphia and last night against the Royals. Tied him up. Rios in and over to the line. 1 down, and let's go down to Jeff Montgomery. Monty, we know about his different pitches, and you can't keep track of this, but how about the different ways that he delivers those pitches?
Right, he's very creative on the mound, and we saw when Jose Bautista was up in that last inning, he does what he's calling the rocking chair. He's got the T-aunt twist, but he's got that little twist also with the shoulders to make it now the rocking chair. He actually worked on that and learned that in Kansas City in May when pitching against the Royals.
It's a different look, and it works.
Going to get a different rosin bag. Well, you know, why not? I mean, if the key to pitching is disrupting a hitter's timing, Monty, then, I mean, he's got 2 things going for him. He's got the speed of his pitches and the speed of his motion.
We notice Japanese-born pitchers with their delay in their delivery, and they're taught that at a young age of deception with your body, kicking your legs, a little flick of your foot as you're coming forward out of your delivery. A lot of little things like that. But Cueto, I've never seen anybody invent like him.
So I'm guessing, Monty, I'm guessing, Monty, that there's a reason why there are very few Johnny Cuetos and David Cohns and Paul Birds, that, you know, altering your pitching motion and still being effective with your pitches is much easier said than done.
Yeah, and it's something you have to work on it. You have to be creative, but you also have to be smart about it. If you don't go out there with the preparation to do it, then it's not going to work out. But he's obviously really refined all those moves and all those mechanics that he uses, because it can put you in a very difficult position. But like you mentioned, Hud, he always gets in a good position to throw the baseball, and that's by the timing mechanism of separating those hands in front of his belly button.
When you have the pitches that he's got, all those pitches, but then you mix in all that different looks in his body, no wonder he's as good as he is.
So Martin, he's a little gamesmanship here. Okay, I'll play that game. I'll show bunt. Now he has the most experience because a couple of national leaguers here, 15 at bats against Cueto, and now Tulowitzki has 14 after his first inning ground out. But after that, nobody has more than 5 against Cueto, and several in the lineup will be facing him for the first time. Ooh, boy, look at that cutter.
That's a beauty. He threw that through 2 pitches before. Martin's got a smile on his face. And, you know, even though you got 15 EVs on him, he's only got 1 hit. He's just smiled. Martin.
Changeup strikes him out. 6 up, 6 down, 2 strikeouts.
The reason he got that, he shook once or twice, and 3 and 2, that messed him up mentally. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. KC Data Strong fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Hashtag KC Data Strong fan. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Ball 1 to Mike Moustakas. Kendrys Morales and Ben Zobrist combined to drive in 3 2-out runs in the first inning. Royals have scored all 5 of their runs in this series after 2 outs in the first inning. That's Tulowitzki, the shortstop, out in shallow center field. So you might wonder, how does a guy with an ERA of about 5.5 have a record of 9-2? Well, Drew Hutchinson has the best run support, not on the Blue Jays, not in the American League, in the major leagues. 7.83 per 9 innings. That's what the Blue Jays have been scoring for him. And Monty, people of the Blue Jays think that his record could be even better than 9-2.
Yeah, I was talking with Pat Tabler, who is their television analyst, earlier today about him, and he said that he could easily be 14-2 on the season if he was able to pitch with a lead. But he's had a lot of leads early in games and has not gone those 5 innings to qualify for the win.
Justin Smoke, good defensive first baseman, has plenty of room. 2 down. Sometimes it just happens in theory that, you know, pitcher would love to pitch with a big lead, and then some will be a little more honest and say, you know what, I like the lead, but Sometimes when the game's closer, I've got better focus. There's more intensity.
You're right. Sometimes that's added extra pressure when you have a huge lead.
Outside to Hosmer. He walked and scored in the 3-run first inning. Two and one to Hosmer with a 12-game hitting streak. Hutchinson in the first inning. Similar to here, pitching him very carefully. Everything down out of the strike zone. Let's see what they do on 2 and 1. Challenges him, and Hosmer fouls it back. Monty, you think for a starter pitching with a big lead, is that kind of like for you as a closer when you come in a non-save situation?
Well, it's different for a closer because you have a finite amount of outs to get. For a starting pitcher, it's a little different. You have to space things out, but I know it is difficult for a closer to go out there in non-save situations.
13-game hitting streak for Eric Hosmer, and he takes a wide turnaround first, and he's on for a second time.
What about for a starter, Monty?
Well, I think for a starting pitcher, you got to want to have a lead. If I'm a starting pitcher, I would want that lead, but I think you pitch to the situation. I don't care if you're a starting pitcher, a setup guy, or a closer. You have to pitch the situation of the game, and that's why I think it's more difficult for closers to pitch in those non-save situations. But starting pitchers, they should be looking at getting through this lineup 3 or maybe 4 times through, and how are you going to orchestrate that lineup in order to do so?
And Monty told me something, and you can chime in, Monty, that I've never forgotten. And I asked him once, why do closers struggle in non-save situations? And Monty, you said you felt like you had to kind of move the game along and just throw strikes, and you wouldn't pitch like you normally would.
Right, you get away from your repertoire of pitchers, and you essentially are just throwing fastball. And that's great for a fastball pitcher, but if you're not a guy that can get by with a fastball solely, you need to mix in all of your pitches. Otherwise, major league hitters are going to certainly let you know in a loud fashion that you're not as good as you think you are.
Boy, Hutchinson just challenging Morales here. That ball was right down the middle. I think he's a little nervous throwing Morales' off-speed pitches as well as he stays on the ball.
That'll be back into the crowd.
That double was the whole key to that 3-run first inning. Morales. Watch this stroke. Oh man, he waited. He had the same power swing as he goes when he pulls it, but he just waited longer. That's called wait until the ball travels back to the catcher's glove. I mean, he hit that corner edge of that bag. He couldn't have sliced it any better with a knife.
Still 0-2.
Thing about Morales is that he's so good at keeping his hands inside the baseball when he swings. That pitch there, if he would have got that, it would have went out at 375 to the opposite field. He's such a smart hitter. He's so blessed. He understands exactly that yard of hitting, using that whole field.
Jammed him. Goins out. Bautista takes charge, and that's the inning. Eric Hosmer extends his hitting streak to 13 games. Johnny Cueto has 2 perfect innings. internet, the U-verse revolves around you. Call 1-800-PICK-ATT. By Panera Bread, avoid the lines. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. And by your Midwest Ford dealers, visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Moustakas was playing in. Hosmer goes up and doesn't come down in time. And Ezequiel Carrera is the Blue Jays' first runner.
That's a great idea by Cabrera. With all the pitches that he throws, they move in, they move out, they move down. It's a lot easier to give yourself up and bunt. Moose was ready for it. Nice play coming in, picks it short hop pick off the turf. And they're taking a look and seeing if they need to do a replay here. But Haas is a little bit high, and did he come down on time? Let's see. All right, Ned wants to review it.
Blue Jays used a challenge and were able to hang on to their challenge when Ben Zobrist was called safe on a stolen base attempt in the first inning, and that was overturned. Well, with the first replay, the Blue Jays fans think that the call on the field was correct. Tough to tell there with Carrera blocking our view of Hosmer's foot.
Moose is ready for it. Wasn't like he was sitting in the back of the bag. He was inside the third base bag line, and this is a good look right here. Haas did all he could to keep it from going to the outfield. Touched the base with the corner there. If that's the angle, looked like he got the bag. He might have got it.
I think you're right. I think that's the best angle because everything else is behind first base, and it looks like Hosmer comes down on the bag late, because you're looking from the back end of the bag toward the front end. But when you see the front end there, I remember when Tropicana Field first opened up and they had the turf with the ground up rubber tires and there was some sand, and Joe Randa told me that it was very hard to field ground balls with your bare hand and throw in the same motion because you get the ball and you get the ground up tires in the sand with your grip, whereas you field it with your glove and some of that sand and the tires falls off and you can get the grip that you want to. But when you have to reach down, it's hard enough as it is because you don't know if you're getting a seam or you're getting the horseshoe of the ball, and you might be, you might have some foreign particles in between your fingertips and the ball.
Yep, that's the point when you play on this type of surface. But you see Hosmer coming down on the corner there. Really, from that angle there, it doesn't look close at all. Looked like he got it.
Angel Hernandez is the crew chief on the right. Scott Berry with his back to us is the umpire who made the call. Angel Hernandez, the only umpire we've seen so far that makes the call before he takes his headsets off. Or at least that's what he did in the first inning. So the Royals lose their challenge in the third inning. The call stands. Well, I tell you what, that one angle looked like this one right here. Foot right there on the bag, right?
Maybe they weren't so sure his foot caught the base. I don't know. Anyway, call stands. With Cueto, there was a conventional style delivery right there,
which he has to do now with speed at first base. And in addition to everything else that he does well, he is one of the best at managing the running game. in his career, fewer than 40% have been successful against Johnny Cueto.
Gets the ball home quickly. So you got a couple of starters there on the Royals that are quick home and are really good against the running games. It's Cueto and Ventura, tomorrow's starter.
That's over Moustakas. Carrera will stop at second base as Zobrist comes up with it in left. And the Blue Jays have 2 on, nobody out. A reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Moose went over and talked to Cueto about a possible bunt right here, and just probably a reminder to Johnny that, hey, look, I got everything. If it's coming firm, I got it all. Don't worry about breaking over to the third base line.
It's a foul ball.
Didn't square around a bunt. In case he did, he said, here's one little high and tight. Just got his bat.
Good changeup. 0-2 on Goins. You put a runner in scoring position. Opponent's batting average is 184. With 2 outs, 125.
Looks like to me, if you're the Blue Jays, you want to get a guy on because he's a lot more predictable from the stretch than he is with nobody on, and he can create his own movement, his hip turns, and all those different styles he has.
Chance for 2. Hard slide by Pilar, and the Royals get 1 as Goins reaches and Carrera goes to third.
Yeah, with all his pitches that moved down, I'm not surprised that he's already induced 10 this year. Almost got 11. A 1, 2, 3 hops. I mean, and like we talked about the turf in game 1, it's slow. So the ball slowed down. And Escobar got up out of the way, did the right thing, and he didn't want to throw that ball away and give him a run. So he played it safe.
Troy Tulowitzki grounded out to short in the bottom of the first inning. That was his 14th career at bat against Johnny Cueto. Takes a fastball low at 95 miles an hour. That makes him 3 out of 14 against Cueto. Cueto's last start as a Cincinnati Red on Saturday, he pitched 8 scoreless innings against the Rockies, and Tulowitzki was 0 for 3 in that game. Right field, not very deep. Carrera tags, and Rios to the plate, and the ball is cut off. Carrera goes back to third.
Ball's on the outer half of the plate and off the dish. It's off the plate. So it was a well-executed location. Cueto can get out of this one. You can credit Escobar for not trying to force that double play there when it wasn't there.
Donaldson takes a strike. Not quite where the target was, but still 95 over the outside part of the plate.
Donaldson is a beast, man. You got to be careful when you throw that fastball against him. Ooh, look at that.
You know, and I can tell you that I'll bet a quick pitch comes in handy against Donaldson. I mean, he winds up almost like a pitcher. I mean, there's a lot that goes into his powerful swing. You can see where Cueto would give somebody like Billy Butler a tough time. You know, Billy's got all that toe tapping and lower body movement as the pitch comes in, and a guy like Cueto can take advantage of that. And there's a quick pitch, and a slider is outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. A legal quick pitch, that is.
All right, you know he's got to be able to come set with a runner on.
Boy, he takes a vicious rip, doesn't he?
He does. But it's great to see the kind of action that Cueto gets on his fastball. That's the 4-seamer. And the 2-seamer has some tremendous movement in on righties' hands and be away from lefties.
Hit hard to left field and over Zobrist's head, and it takes a awkward ricochet, and that will get the Blue Jays a second run.
Like I said earlier, you miss out over that plate just like that, he won't miss it. That's how hot he is. '27th double on the season. Took a Blue Jay hop off the wall on the line.
So he ties Kendrys Morales for the league lead with 71 RBIs. Donaldson drove in a run in last night's game with a home run. Just missing outside with that pitch a few times in this inning. Two and one on Bautista. He grounded out to short in the first inning.
So Johnny looks a lot different from the stretch than he does with nobody on. A little bit easier to figure out.
Bautista can't believe that he took that pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He's going to challenge hitters. Cueto does a nice job. You see where he holds that ball. He's hiding it. See how he purposely hides it, doesn't let the hitter try to see it. And that's the key, really, because hitters are looking for that release point. And I can tell you that watching that ball, the hitter wants to see the ball as soon as he can, even if it's from the stretch, because sometimes you can see what grip he's got on the ball. And you can get him into patterns the next time you face him. You kind of see what he can guess a little bit better with his pitches, what's coming. It's like he just rolls that ball up and intentionally hides it.
Edwin Encarnacion is on deck. That'll be backing out of play. Royals got 3 runs in the first inning with 2 outs. The Blue Jays have 2 in this inning with 2 outs. Cueto strikes out Bautista to end the inning. So the Blue Jays get 2. They get a friendly bounce off the bullpen gate. And Cueto needs 24 pitches to get through the third. 1 starter now, and David Price. You know, a couple years ago, the Blue Jays starting rotation was just awful. 4.81 ERA, and then Marcus Stroman came along. He won 11 games for the Blue Jays as a rookie, and the Blue Jays starting rotation really improved. But then in spring training, he blew out his left knee. Our University of Kansas hospital injury report. So Stroman has not thrown a single pitch for the Blue Jays. He is hoping to come back in September. Back to Hutchinson. Zobrist is out. He drove in 2 in the Royals' 3-run first inning. Mike Sweeney is honoring his role models at his Royals Hall of Fame induction, and he wants to help Royals fans thank the role models in their lives. Mike will select 29 Royal role models to receive 4 tickets to his Hall of Fame induction on Saturday, August 15th. The Angels will be in town. Each winning role model will also receive an item autographed by Mike. So nominate someone special in your life and email that story in 1 paragraph to mymentor@royals.com. mymentor, 1 word, @royals.com.
Love it. I like the highlight reel they show whenever we show that clip there. Taking Zito deep on his signature curveball and then stealing home off Pettit. That is sweet. Straight steal. Hutchinson fastball elevated. He elevates a lot of them. He's got a slider. It looks like tonight he's got some pretty good depth to it and a few changeups. His slider and changeups are key for him. His fastball looks pretty straight. And by that changeup there, looked like he slowed his arm speed down just a tick. Sometimes hitters can pick that up.
Tulowitzki to the middle, in the dirt, and Smoke digs it out, 2 down. Not as many boos for Rios in this inning as he had when he came up in the second. Rios came up through the Blue Jays organization. He was their 1st-round pick in 1999 out of high school in Puerto Rico. Bautista makes a play, so now Hutchinson turns the tables on Cueto. He has a quick top of the 4th inning and sends Cueto right back out to the mound. exclusive opportunity to purchase an autographed copy of Dayton Moore's book, More Than a Season, for just $25. Your autographed copy. The proceeds will benefit Dayton's charity See You in the Major Leagues, and you can get that autographed copy today at Royals.com/more than a season. Blue Jays got a 2-out, 2-run double from Josh Donaldson in the third inning to make it a 1-run game. And Encarnacion taking all the way. 1 ball, 1 strike. He flied to right in the second inning. That's hit well to right field. Rios back, and it's off the wall. Rios plays it perfectly, and after all that, Encarnacion has a single, and then Escobar almost threw him out, rounding the bag at first. Well, if anybody with a Royals uniform knows how the ball comes off the wall here, it would be Alex Rios.
Played it perfectly. Fastball away. Encarnacion went that way. He's having some difficulty with his bottom hand, but for that time right there, no problem.
Fouled away by Justin Smoke. Cueto struck him out with a changeup in the second inning.
I guarantee the Blue Jays, after that inning, that last inning where they scored 2 runs, they're going back to the dugout saying, look for the fastball. He's going to give you one. Try to lay off some of them other pitches, but look for the heater. But when it's in off the plate like that, that's tough. That's a fastball, and he's looking for it, but a little two seam, or that little cutter that he's working in there makes it tough to barrel.
One and 2 on Smoke. That was the pitch Cueto struck him out with back in the second inning. Cueto has struck out 3. And now fastball up. 4 strikeouts, 1 down in the 4th. Little background on Cueto. He is from the Dominican Republic. The Reds signed him in 2004, and he went directly to their academy in the Dominican Republic. And when he made his big league debut in 2008, he became the first player to graduate from that academy and get to the big leagues. And who knew he was going to have a successful major league career, but in his big league debut in 2008, he became the first pitcher in modern major league history to have 10 strikeouts and no walks in his big league debut against Arizona. So he hit the ground running.
I'll say, with that kind of stuff he's got, but you know, he's a polished big league pitcher now, but for your first big league start, that's impressive. Got the right guy up there to hit into a double play. Martin leads the Jays with 14. Not this time.
Kane coming up in center field. Martin is 0 for 2, 2 down in the 4th inning. Take a look at DraftKings and the players to watch, and why not Johnny Cueto and Josh Donaldson, who had never faced Johnny Cueto, but he was a player to watch, and he came through with a 2-run double in the 3rd inning. Go to DraftKings.com, enter the promo code BRoyal. Clayton Kershaw with a 29-inning scoreless streak. His teammate Zach Greinke lost a long scoreless streak in his last start, the 4th longest in Major League history, 46 2/3 innings.
That change at the bottom fell out of it. Boy, look at the action on this changeup. Belt high, ankle high.
Contact with 2 strikes. It was off of his thumbs, but Carrera is 2 for 2 to extend the inning.
Yeah, he's the one who got that inning going, that last inning, with a nice bunt base hit. It's just a nice little level swing. That's how you get hits like that, if your bat head's level.
Cueto started with 2 perfect innings, 6 up, 6 down. Blue Jays had 4 runners in the 3rd inning and scored 2, and now 2 more runners in the 4th. Kevin Pillar in the 3rd inning, single to left field, and then he had a key play in that inning, and he took a hard, aggressive slide into Alcides Escobar and prevented the Royals from turning a double play. And then later in the inning with 2 outs, Donaldson hit the 2-run double.
Pillar didn't like that one. Thought that ball was off the plate, but that 2-seam fooled Hernandez.
Salvi runs to the screen, but it's on the other side. Still 1-2 on Kevin Pillar.
Blue Jays, they're doing a nice job of expending some pitches from Cueto. Next pitch will be the 67th. Fouling off borderline pitches, taxing the pitch count. Somebody wants this one down.
And it's pulled foul. So this is part of the learning process. Salvador Perez getting a feel for Johnny Cueto. So instead of rolling through a bunch of signs and Cueto shaking them off, they just go out and talk it over.
Yeah, you know, there's going to be a feeling out process. I mean, typically Salvi, he catches all his pitchers in spring training, and he knows exactly what they all throw. But he's caught Cueto on the side, but not until you get in game situations. You throw all that out the window.
Base hit left field, and Encarnacion's going to be waved home on Zobrist. Cut off by Moustakas. The Blue Jays tie the game. And now Carrera, with minimal effort, is tagged out in a rundown. All runs have been scored with 2 outs tonight, and we're tied at 3.
evening to join his new team. His old team doing very well tonight. They have been sellers at the deadline, but J.D. Martinez doing his thing in our Mazda game break. 6-0 Tigers, 28th on the year for J.D. They also traded away Yoenis Cespedes to the Mets today, but Detroit winning right now. Joakim Sawyer went the other day. Guys, a bit of a travel nightmare of a day for David Price, who was supposed to throw a side session this afternoon for John Gibbons and the Blue Jays. He hopped in his nice Jaguar and was going to drive from Detroit here, about a 4-hour drive. Blew out a tire before he even crossed the border. I guess those really fancy cars, guys, that Jaguar, got to replace all 4 tires. Held him up too long. They sent the car to get him. Got here somewhere, I guess, a little bit before game time. Still supposed to throw a side session. We'll see if that happens at all during the game. And I did ask guys John Gibbons about why not Price on Sunday. There was thought that if they backed him up to Monday, he'd get the Twins once and the Yankees twice. And Gibby said, yeah, but, I mean, doesn't it mean something to beat the best team in baseball or in the American League, the Royals? He said, more importantly, holding up on that side session till today or tomorrow would push him back.
And Fonte, right center field, and Bautista makes a sliding play. And to add to Joel's point, the Royals did the same thing with Johnny Cueto. They gave him one extra day to get comfortable with his new teammates and his new surroundings.
And you know that pushes R.A. Dickey up to Sunday to face the Royals. Knuckleballer.
And now Cetus Escobar with 1 out, nobody on. Shallow center, and that'll drop in front of Pilar. So Escobar snaps an 0 for 16. He is on with 1 out. Remember, Friday nights at Kauffman Stadium, you can stock up on dollar hot dogs and peanuts for Buck Night, presented by Visit KC. And then stay after the game for a spectacular fireworks show, courtesy of Hy-Vee and Pepsi. Buck Night and summer fireworks. And it's all coming up a week from tonight against the White Sox. Royals.com or 1-800-6-ROYALS. Royals have a nice long homestand after this road trip, which begins a week from tonight. Royals will have the White Sox, the Tigers, and the Angels.
Moose just 2 for 19 on this road trip. Lineups get better as they go along against Hutchinson.
And they're active in the bullpen. Aaron Loop is the lefty. Bull Schultz is the righty. And Hutchinson has just 65 pitches. One ball and no strikes. Moustakas has grounded back to the mound and popped to short. One and one. Talking to Dale Swaim about the shifts, and we've noticed that teams are starting to go back to that shift to the right side against Mike Moustakas. They're not going to now. The Blue Jays are hoping for a ground ball and a double play, but still shifted slightly to the right. And while Moustakas has so many hits to left field this year, there haven't been many lately. He's trying to go the other way there. And so with all the advanced scouting now by way of video and charts, spray charts, that you just don't have a scouting report for a guy that carries throughout the year. What's he been doing lately? And while his hits to left field have dramatically improved this year, there haven't been as many in the last month. He's been pulling more balls, so the defense is adjusting to where he is hitting the baseball.
Hitters have been getting him out with high fastballs. pitchers. Escobar has 7 steals on the year. He hasn't run as much this year, especially after Laurie slid into him and hurt his knee. He hadn't run like he normally does.
He's running, and the ball's hit out to shallow left field, and Carrera is there. Two down. Lorenzo Cain comes up. We remind you to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com, and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. And on that topic, Lorenzo Cain 1 for 2 tonight with a double. He has more extra base hits now than he did all of last year. And with this being the final day of the month, since the end of June, Lorenzo Cain is hitting just under .390.
Well, there's 2 outs. It's time for him to hit. .391 average before that 2-out double he hit in the first inning.
Good changeup down. 1-1 on Cain. Two and one. We have seen 6 runs tonight. Royals 3 in the first. Toronto 2 in the third. 1 in the fourth. All have come with 2 outs. Escobar runs. Cain takes low. Escobar is out. Second time that Russell Martin has gunned down a Royal tonight. We're tied at 3. University of Kansas fans to come out to Kauffman Stadium on August 16th when the Royals take on the Angels. Just buy a ticket through Royals.com/KU. and then get to the game early for this Jayhawk-themed Royals cap. It's KU night at the K on August 16th. And remember, if your schedule says that is a day game, and is now a night game, August 16th, the final game of that 4-game series with the Angels. Those will be on national television. Ryan Goins leads off the bottom of the 5th. 2 balls, 1 strike. Goins grounded into a fielder's choice in the 3rd inning. Kevin Pillar's hard slide into second base prevented a double play, which paid off as the Blue Jays eventually got a 2-run double from Donaldson in that inning. Nice grab by a Blue Jays fan who brought his glove.
There you go, young man. He's wanting the applause.
Three and 2. High changeup, but the quick motion may have thrown off Goins. 5 strikeouts for Cueto in 4 1/3.
A little bit of a quick pitch there. Change of speeds, got him. You're right. That's ball 4.
Been missing up in the strike zone the past 2 innings. One and 1 to Tulowitzki. He is grounded to short and flied out to right.
So we have Monty down there by the Royals dugout. Monty, looks like we're seeing 2 different pitchers by Johnny Cueto. He's different from the stretch than he is when he doesn't have anybody on. And
right.
Go ahead and tell me what you're seeing.
Well, when you have runners on, and he does such a good job of stopping base runners from even attempting to steal, and very few have stolen base against him, but it really takes a lot of concentration to do that. When you're pitching from the windup, you have a lot more flexibility to be creative, and we've seen a lot of creativity from Johnny Cueto tonight.
Missed upstairs again to Donaldson. And with a hitter like Donaldson, and there's another pitch that's upstairs. Donaldson, we mentioned all the movement that he has at the plate, and Cueto can exploit that by changing the speed of his delivery. He hit that 2-run double when Cueto was pitching out of the stretch. 3 balls, no strikes.
And Ryan, one thing that we see a lot from Cueto is he has the ability to pitch to all portions of the strike zone with intent. He'll climb the ladder a lot. We've seen a lot of that this inning where he's pitching up in the strike zone, but he has the ability, like a lot of pitchers, unlike a lot of pitchers, to really pitch to all those areas of the strike zone effectively, and that's the whole key. A lot of guys, they start getting the ball up and they start getting hit around, but he's a guy that pitches up on purpose, and he gets a lot of success that way.
And now Donaldson walks. That was Cueto's first walk. And a man on with 2 outs. Ani, you hear things about Cueto that you don't hear a lot of today. And it doesn't mean it's not out there, but there is just so much information for a pitcher and a catcher. They can have a thorough game plan before the first pitch is thrown. But before those days, they really had to read the hitter, read his swing. What's he trying to do at the plate? Is he cheating? It's kind of the scouting report would evolve throughout the game, and that's a strength of Cueto's.
Yeah, and another thing he's very good at, he's good at recognizing the hitter during the course of the at-bat and seeing what his bat plane is and where his strengths are. He may watch them when they're on deck making the practice swings. He's very, very astute as far as picking up what the other hitters are trying to do against him.
You know, we talk about hitters making adjustments in at-bats, and Cueto is a good example of a pitcher making adjustments in the at-bats.
Two and two on Bautista. He is 0 for 2 against Cueto tonight with a strikeout.
Cueto doing a nice job of cutters on the outer half. They're keeping it out of the middle. Bautista, he's one of the best hitters in the majors on mistakes. He rarely misses anything out of the plate.
And now 3 and 2 on Bautista with Encarnacion on deck. He got Bautista with a fastball up after a long battle in the 3rd inning. Up and out of the strike zone. And a changeup gets him this time. 6 strikeouts for Cueto. He's given up 3 runs in 5 innings. Our contestant is Barbara Moore from Lynn Valley. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Barbara wins $1,200. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Barbara wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. There's an old nemesis, Mark Burley. The Royals will see him tomorrow. Burley and Ventura tomorrow afternoon. Mark Burley is 11-5. Fouled away by Kane.
So Lorenzo, he gets the bonus at bat. Escobar getting thrown out the end of the inning. He saw 4 pitches. And earlier, Salvador Perez, similar situation, saw 4 pitches and he singled to left his next time up.
Over the mound, Over the bag. Base hit. A 2-hit game for Lorenzo Cain, and now he has more multi-hit games than he did all of last year. And on leading off the 6th inning, the Royals have their leadoff man on for the first time since the 6th inning. And John Gibbons had the bullpen ready after Hutchinson gave up a hit in the 5th inning. Hutchinson got through the 5th, man on in the 6th, and Gibbons makes a Chevy call to the bullpen. Fox Sports Kansas City are offering a unique way for fans across the Midwest to enjoy a game at Kauffman Stadium. It's the Forever Royal Fan Express. The next stop is Lincoln on August 8th. Go to Royals.com/Fan Express for more information. Aaron Loop with Eric Hosmer at the plate and Cain at first base.
He's got a high ERA.
Hosmer didn't mean to, and Donaldson throws wild.
Yeah, that'll work.
Cain will score, and Hosmer is on his way to third base. The Royals regain the lead, and they have a runner at third with nobody down.
It's got to be a hit in the air, and Donaldson shaking his head and slapping his hand into his gloves. Knew better than that. Hosmer runs well. And this is an excuse me hit, jammed him. Loop came inside, jammed him. He couldn't even get a full rip. But when you're going good, you get hits like that. And he messed up by not staying on top of that ball. His arm angle stayed down low, and he sailed it. This is a ball you put in your pocket. He wouldn't have gotten him with a good throw. So one pitch, and Loop is going to be taken out.
Another Chevy call to the bullpen for the Blue Jays. They have regained the lead. This is Bo Schultz, who's had a good year for them. They picked him up on waivers. And he'll face Kendrys Morales, who has a big hit tonight. And he has the best slide of the night, our AT&T U-verse rewind.
I guarantee you Russell Martin hadn't seen a base runner put a mojo on him like K-Mo did. Watch this. This is exciting. Look at Mo. He stops his slide 2-3 feet before. Oh, man, that ball's hit pretty well.
Deep left field. Carrera to the track. Morales will drive in his second run of the game. Hosmer will score his second run of the game, and the Royals lead by 2. Kendrys Morales regains the league lead with his 72nd RBI.
Gotta like that first pitch. He was waiting to ambush Bo Schultz. 94-96 with a fastball. He couldn't get it by him. Morales doing the job again. He likes to sink it, but that ball didn't sink. Slider and a changeup. He'll work.
First time he's had more than 1 RBI in a game. That's best in the league. So he's driven in 2. Donaldson is driven in 2. And now it's 1-1 on Ben Zobrist.
Sinker looked like it moved off the plate.
Zobrist got his first hit as a Royal in the first inning, that 3-run first inning, and he capped it with a 2-run single, driving in Hosmer and Morales, who made that slide that fooled Martin. Nice play by Goins at second base. So a very bad play on the Blue Jays infield in this inning, and now a very good play. 2 down.
Top spin liner. Good judgment. Excellent glove position. See how he's playing the ball back like that? He's able to see it longer. Got him from a knee. That error was a costly one for Donaldson. His 14th. That's the most errors on the Blue Jays. Reyes had 13 before he was traded. Nice downward break to his slider.
Three-pitch strikeout to end the inning. The inning began with back-to-back infield hits. The Royals turned it into 2, and Johnny Cueto has a 2-run lead.
A 5-3 lead here, and we're going to take look at some of the sprint cuts of the game. Johnny Cueto, we talked about the rocket chair. He's got the little quick delivery. He's got a little variety, guys, and it's really great to see him get a lead now. Hopefully he can keep this thing going, but so far I think Johnny Cueto has lived up to everything that we expected.
And this is a big inning right here as the Royals give him a 2-run lead. Encarnacion, Smoke, and Martin coming up. I'll be interested to hear what Salvador Perez says about tonight. You know, I mean, he can put down a sign, right? But he doesn't know how Cueto is going to deliver that pitch, and still trying to figure out what Cueto wants to throw. That's a fair ball down into the corner. And the Blue Jays have a runner at second base with nobody out. That's the second hit for Encarnacion.
Up and in. That was a good swing by Encarnacion. He's able to get the barrel on that. That was a bad pitch for him to do that on, but he was quick inside. Credit him for that.
Justin Smoke has struck out twice against Cueto, and he gets a fastball over the inside for strike one. Smoke looks like he has an issue with that call.
Well, it's a two-seam action he's getting from that pitch. Starts way in and catches the inside part of the plate. You've seen him do it on the outer half to righties.
One and two. Changeup strikes him out for a third time. And that's 7 for Cueto tonight.
Oh, great action. Not only on his two-seamer here in this at-bat, but that changeup started in the middle and ends up way off the dish. Excellent command. Talked about it before. Most #1 starters on teams have the ability to execute when they need to with runners in scoring position. He limits the opponents with average and just keeping them away from scoring. Really good job of concentrating and executing.
Seven strikeouts, all swinging. And one of those strikeouts against Russell Martin. Just missed down and away.
That's a great spot to miss.
Two and one to Martin. Cueto at 98 pitches, and if he happened to turn around and look at the right field bullpen, there is nobody warming up. And you rarely see that today. 98 pitches. He's labored a bit in the last 3 innings, and yet the Royals have full faith in him. He's thrown as many as 125 this year.
And that was back in April, but in this month he threw 122 pitches in a win against the Washington Nationals. Yeah, Ryan, you're right about it'll be interesting to talk to Salvi. Now, from the average baseball fan just watching, you wouldn't be able to tell a difference between a guy who's never caught Cueto before, but we can tell. And Salvi, you know, he's feeling his way through this game with Cueto for the first time, and there'll be some adjustments he'll make the next time out. Be interesting to hear Salvi talk about what those might be.
Now Martin comes back from 1 and 2, and he walks. That's Cueto's second, and that puts the tying run on with 1 out. And now Cueto's getting into the lower third of the order, and they start to move around now in the Royals bullpen as Dave Island gets on the phone.
Talked about his ability to roll up those ground ball double plays earlier in this game. He's induced 10 so far this season. Like to get one here. Correa's been good tonight against him. 2 for 2. Bunt base hit, got that little rally started in the 3rd inning. Well, they scored 2 runs.
It'll be Ryan Manson getting loose behind Cueto. Oh, and 2. Cueto set down the first 6 hitters tonight. And now this is 3 of the last 4 innings. They've had at least 2 runners. Blocked by Salvi, keeping that double play in order. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Salvi agreed with that location there. Want to get a swing and miss. Great job at keeping it, letting those runners advance and taking them out of the double play situation. Another star on Salvi's line.
Shook off Salvi a couple of times there, so not on the same page with this pitch.
And sometimes that head shake from a guy with all those pitches that'll really mess with a hitter.
Crack bat. Out at second. Cueto covers. No double play. Encarnacion goes to third. And runners at the corners with 2 down. A little conversation here to get ready for Kevin Pillar, the Blue Jays' number 8 hitter. He's had 2 good swings against Cueto tonight. He has singled to left twice, and the last time he singled, he drove in a run with 2 outs.
And those were on fastballs. Carrera 2 out of 3 in steals over there at first base, getting the lead.
Oh, 1-1. That pitch was very good for Cueto in the first 2 innings, and now he's been missing to that spot pretty consistently. Just a little bit outside with that cut fastball.
He's really focused on staying out of the middle. This is his biggest opportunity here to get him out of there. Don't want to make a mistake again.
Another thing they say about Cueto, and we mentioned that he's really good at reading a hitter in the middle of an at-bat. He has great recall of pitch sequences. So he's well aware of what Pillar has done with his fastball twice tonight. And there's a cutter. He got the call that time. That's exactly where he wants it.
Angel's not one of those umpires to take very much on a ball or strike issue. Pilar giving him a little body language there. Didn't appreciate it. Sometimes you get on the umpire's bad side. See if you can do that again. The same pitch.
Got him to chase one up and out of the strike zone. Infante is there. Inning over. Cueto goes 6. 111 pitches. The Blue Jays have 3 in those 6 innings. The Royals lead by 2.
Is over. 5-3 Royals lead it here in Toronto. Panera takes us around the league. Baltimore storms back down by just 1. Seattle leading Minnesota. Yankees all over Chicago, and Cleveland and Oakland still to come. Our Mazda Game Break takes a look at the final day of the trade deadline. Yoenis Cespedes dealt away today by the Detroit Tigers to the New York Mets, and so no Soria, no Cespedes, no Price, Miguel Cabrera on the DL when the Royals head to Detroit. And guys, maybe the tweet of the day, at least for those Seinfeld fans out there that for years have been thinking Cespedes rhymes with Festivus or is close enough. Jerry Seinfeld tweeting, "Oh my God, Mets, I can't believe I can actually say this, but it is true that there is now a Cespedes for the rest of us." Right?
Did you get that one, Hud?
I did. I like it. Mets need some offense. They got a pretty good power hitter.
Two and 2 on Rios. He has flied to right a couple of times.
"41 trades were made. 29 teams involved. 127 players involved. 20 All-Stars were traded. This has been incredible. July.
And it seemed like it was going to be a quiet trading deadline, that teams were more reluctant to give up blue chip prospects for a 2-month rental. And it really was quiet up until about the last 3 or 4 days. Rios has his first hit. He is 1 for 3. That puts an end to an 0 for 13. And he's on to begin the 7th inning.
above the belt, stayed on top of it nicely.
They are beginning the process of closing the roof at Rogers Center. Strike to Infante. He is 0 for 2. Lost a hit on a sliding play in right field by Bautista in the 5th inning. Hanging breaking ball, not the pitch that Infante was looking for, and it's 0-2.
I think that surprised him a little bit. That looked like a little backup slider.
Bo Schultz took over last inning. He got all 3 outs. 2 of them were hard hit. Hold to Donaldson. He'll go to second. And back to first, no double play. So 1 down, Infante at first base, and now the top of the order coming up. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KC Data Strong Fan for a chance to have it featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Nice shot of Dan in the left field corner at Kauffman Stadium. Thank you, Dan. And the ball gets through Martin, and that allows Infante to move up to second base. Official scorer wants to take another look at it and see if that was a wild pitch or a pass ball. It sounded like it got a lot of Martin's glove.
Got him over there in scoring position for Escobar, who's hitting .317 coming into this one with runners out there. Scoring position.
Up the middle and into center field. Infante is around third. Pilar's throw is cut off. The Royals have a 3-run lead in the 7th inning. Alcides Escobar had been 0 for 16 when he singled in the 5th inning. Now 2 for his last 2. And the Royals, who had a 3-run lead in the 1st inning, the Blue Jays tied it in the 4th, and now they have another 3-run lead.
So the wild pitch hurt him there. And the fact that Escobar hit the mound on a fly on the line that slowed the ball down. Pilar, he's got an excellent throwing arm. He had no chance, though. Pilar with 9 outfield assists from center. That's really good.
Oh, 1-1 to Mike Moustakas, 0 for 3 so far tonight.
Seems like Moose is pulling his head off on contact swings. Ball's right over the plate, just pulling that head a tad.
Down to the count, no balls, 2 strikes. So it looks like we'll see Ryan Madsen in the bottom of the 7th inning. Kelvin Herrera got some work in last night with the Royals down. He had not pitched in a while. 1-2 on Moustakas. Bo Schultz has thrown 23 pitches. Ryan Tepera throws in the Blue Jays bullpen. We talked about it last night. The Blue Jays had an awful bullpen last year. Only 5 teams in the major leagues had a higher bullpen ERA, and John Gibbons started the year using some veterans at the back end, but now they've been using Schultz in the later innings. They picked him up on waivers. Blue Jays turn to double play. They have a 24-year-old setup man and a 21-year-old closer, and that formula has been working. Bottom of the 7th, Royals by 3. .63 to the bottom of the 7th inning. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Buddies in the Cincinnati Reds organization, roommates Edinson Volquez and Johnny Cueto, Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hubler, Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery.
Yeah, you know, Cueto, he was fun to watch. It's good to see him out there executing his pitches. I'm sure that Salvi and him will be a lot sharper the next time out there, and I think that Cueto, you know, he missed a few locations with his fastball, but he's, well, I think he was awesome to watch. A lot of fun. Hopefully the back end of that bullpen can do what they've been doing and hold that lead for him.
Ryan Madson, 1 ball, 1 strike against Ryan Goins. 0 for 2 with a run scored. Madson will get the 9, 1, and 2 hitters. Goins, Tulowitzki, and Donaldson. Cutter is inside, 2-1.
Fastball, cutter, great changeup. .995.
And a base hit into left field. So the Blue Jays have the leadoff man on. You can follow live Royals baseball with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet, which allows you to stay connected to the Royals wherever you are with the MLB.TV Game of the Day. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, and more. It's the #1 app for live baseball. Troy Tulowitzki is 0 for 3.
Matson with that good changeup. He gets a lot of hitters out in front and they top it. He has grounded. He has induced 3 ground ball double plays.
Matson last pitched on Tuesday night and pitched 2 innings. Third time this year he's gone 2 complete innings. Tulowitzki lines it to center field, and Kane has to play it on a bounce, and now it rolls behind him. A run will score. Tulowitzki's at second base with nobody out, and now the Royals with an error give the Blue Jays a run.
A lot different bounces on this artificial turf than there is on natural grass. And Lorenzo Cain let that one get by him. Let's see. He put on plenty of brakes there. You see he put the brakes on, and then he just took his eye off the ball. That's all that happened there. Looked like he was going to try to throw it before he caught it, and that cost him. It cost a run.
Donaldson takes a strike. Josh Donaldson hit a 2-run double in the 3rd inning. I'll tell you, with all the big bats that the Blue Jays have, Tulowitzki, Bautista, Encarnacion, this guy scares me the most. Donaldson.
Yeah, he's a beast. He seems like he only swings when it's right over the middle of the plate. Very patient hitter. Crowd getting back into this game. If there's anyone that can give last year's MVP a run for this year's MVP, it's Donaldson. Trout is having a stellar year again. Donaldson opened up a lot of eyes his first year in a Blue Jays uniform.
Looked like the cutter. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Let's see if he works that changeup down underneath him here.
First time that Josh Donaldson has faced Ryan Madson. Three and 2.
No breaks in this Blue Jays lineup. There's no breathers. Bottom of the lineup, Pereira, Pilar, Goins. 5 hits between those 3 tonight. That's the bottom part.
One-run game. Donaldson is driven in 3. Still nobody out, and the Blue Jays have the tying run at second base with nobody out. And you know, he was motivated. It was his error in the 6th inning, which led the Royals to 2 runs to break a 3-3 tie.
3 and 2. I thought he might go with his changeup, but he went with a fastball at 90 right down the middle of the plate. And you said earlier, this guy don't miss anything down in the middle. Great inside-out swing.
Donaldson and Kendrys Morales leading the league with 72 RBIs. Donaldson is driven in 3. Morales is driven in 2. And now Kelvin Herrera throwing in an inning which is normally his.
I think Ned's thinking was he threw last night. He let Madson have a shot out there. Tonight, Manson's not real happy. He snaps his glove at that throwback from Salvi.
It was hit so hard that Donaldson has to hold at third. 4 straight hits, all rockets. Still nobody out.
Yeah, Manson, no wonder he's a little frustrated. His command is not where he wants it tonight. It's right down the middle of the plate, and unfortunately, and fortunately, he didn't hit that ball in the ballpark, but you gotta credit that Blue Jays hitting it. They're not missing.
Now remember last night when Herrera pitched, he hadn't pitched in a while. So this would not have been a second, or rather a third straight night. I mean, Herrera had a long gap in between appearances. And so that will be, I'm sure, one of the first questions after the game tonight. It was not HDH tonight, it was MDH. Or MHDH now, as Herrera will come on with runners at first and third and nobody out. Blue Jays swing the bats like they have in this inning, almost like they knew what was coming. And you know, Ned Yost does not like to get a relief pitcher hot, which means you get him ready enough to come into the game. And Madsen was warming up behind Cueto in the 6th inning. And I'm wondering if that's why he stayed with Madsen in the 7th, because Madsen was hot and ready to go. Otherwise, you just waste him. And it's like having an appearance without coming in the game.
Yeah, you know, you're right. And plus, we don't always know all the information up here that they know down there. So it is what it is. But Herrera needs a strikeout here.
First and third, nobody out. Inside at 100 miles an hour. Herrera to Edwin Encarnacion, 2 for 3 with a run scored. He is 1 for 6 against Herrera. That one hit was a home run.
Fastball, slider, changeup. We've been seeing Herrera throw more sliders lately.
Grounded foul.
infielders, at least Escobar and Moose, they're like halfway. They'll make up their mind on, if it comes to them, how hard it's hit and what they want to do with it. If they don't have a chance to turn two, they might come home and try to get Donaldson. Getting a lot of good rotation coming into the righties with that explosive fastball. He's really boring that pitch in on his hands. Doesn't want him to get extended.
Bases loaded, nobody out. The first 5 have reached. Royals had a 3-run lead. Royals have not lost a game this year when they have taken a lead into the 7th inning, and we still have a ways to go. That's how strong the back end of the bullpen has been. But a single, another single, an error, an RBI double, another single, and now a walk, and still nobody out.
The 7th error by Lorenzo Cain on the season, that hurt.
Justin Smoke, in 3 at-bats against Johnny Cueto, struck out all 3 times. Chance to get 2. So they trade a double play for a run that ties the game. Donaldson scores, and the Royals bullpen is hit with a blown save, and now a runner at 3rd and 2 down. So no win for Johnny Cueto in his Royals debut. Salvador Perez and Melvin Herrera getting ready for Russell Martin. Royals scored 3 in the 1st inning. The Blue Jays got 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th to tie it. Royals got 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th for another 3-run lead. And now the Blue Jays with 3 in the bottom of the 7th to tie it again. .101 miles an hour to Russell Martin. Chopped out to Escobar. Inning over. Blue Jays come up with 4 hits. They take advantage of an error and they get 3. So to the 8th inning in a tie game, it'll be Cain, Hosmer, and Morales.
Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs.
Well, you couldn't tell from outside Rogers Center on a nice, peaceful, warm summer night. Now, we've had a wild one inside. Royals have had two different 3-run leads. Aaron Sanchez, Blue Jays regular setup man, and we saw him last night. He pitched the 8th with a couple of strikeouts, and now in a tie game he's on in the 8th inning to get the middle of the Royals order, which has been productive tonight.
I see he's got 37 walks in 69 innings, so he can be a little bit wild at times, but he's got a real good fastball we saw last night, 92 to 97 miles an hour. Sinks it, curveball, slider.
Out to Tulowitzki. Smoke skips his feet and goes into foul ground to handle that high throw. So Kane is 2 for 4, 1 down in the 8th inning.
We have another full weekend of baseball on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports Kansas City. Saturday, it's the Freeway Series between the Angels and the Dodgers. Coverage begins at 2:30 on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And on Fox Sports Kansas City, the Royals and Blue Jays continue this series.
Inside to Eric Hosmer. Hosmer has a 2-hit game. Out to short again. Tulowitzki on the money this time. Two quick outs to Kendrys Morales. He's driven in 2 with a double in the 1st inning and a sac fly in the 6th. Fastball at 98.
That's some free and easy arm action. Ball comes out of his hand very smoothly. You have a fastball like that moves, you're going to challenge hitters with it. It's not easy to pick up, especially with that late movement he's getting.
Pilar into left center field. Sanchez gets the job done. We head to the bottom of the 8th in a 6-6 tie. Brought to you by Miller Lite.
Johnny Cueto's Royal debut. I don't think there was anybody disappointed at all. Looked good. Had some really interesting pitches that he threw. 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, pair of walks, 7 punch-outs. Looked pretty dominant to me, but Royals bullpen uncharacteristically letting some runs in here late. He won't decide in this one.
Herrera threw 10 pitches to get the Royals almost completely out of the bases loaded and nobody out. He did walk Encarnacion to load him up, but then got a double play that scored the tying run and another ground ball. So it was a big inning. Toronto gets 3 to tie it, but it could have been a lot bigger than that. And he'll get Carrera, Pilar, and Goins in the bottom of the 8th. One and one on Carrera. He has a 2-hit game with a run scored. One and two. A 3-hit game. The Royals had Zobrist shifted to the line, so that holds Carrera to a leadoff single. Second time he has led off an inning with a base hit.
Really, that's a nice swing. I mean, that ball's way out. Look at him. I mean, he waited. It's almost like he knew it was coming. Just flipped that bat head out there. Let the ball do the work.
Kevin Pilar has had a good night at the plate. He bunts. Hosmer will throw to first. Infante covering. I think the Royals will take that the way Pilar has swung the bat. That was his 3rd sacrifice bunt of the year. Now the go-ahead runs at second base with 1 out. Has scored twice. Devin Travis, when the Blue Jays got in a trade with the Tigers this past offseason, has had a very good year for them at second base. They placed him on the disabled list today with a shoulder injury, so Goins is going to get a lot of playing time. And with that in mind, the first day of knowing that, he's chipped in as the number 9 hitter, 1 for 3 with 2 runs scored.
Carrera, the hitter before Pilar, just used Herrera's fastball and didn't do too much with his swing. Just want to use your hands up there for the best part. Just try to put an easy swing on that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. That's how you have most success against a guy like Herrera.
Grounded to Hosmer. He'll connect with Herrera. 2 down. And Carrera goes to third.
This is one of the most important fundamental plays there are in baseball right here. This is why in spring training teams go over this all the time. Watch Hosmer. It's important if the pitcher gets over, but watch Hosmer take the ball out of his glove and show it to him. See, he's showing that ball to Herrera the whole way, and he follows his underhand feed. That makes the ball stay straight. It's a routine play, but a lot of games are won and lost by that combination right there, the transfer. Nicely done.
Troy Tulowitzki. It was his base hit last inning that really got the Blue Jays going. Goins had singled, then Tulowitzki singled to center, and the ball got by Kane. And that put Tulowitzki at third base. A run had scored, and the Blue Jays went on to score 3 to tie the game. He is 1 for 4. Now to Infante, and Herrera gives the Royals 2 innings out of the bullpen tonight. And we go to the 9th in a 6-6 tie. Royals led by 3 in the top of the 7th. Blue Jays tied it in the bottom of the 7th. And this is their 21-year-old closer, Roberto Osuna. He got his 6th save last night. That leads the Blue Jays. July 30th. And the Blue Jays last night, their team leader in saves, had 6. And now he comes on to get Zobrist, Perez, and Rios.
He'll use that mid-90s fastball, slider, and a changeup are his pitches.
Zobrist into left field. Carrera to the line. And Zobrist is 1 for 4. He got his first Royals hit in the first inning. It was a 2-run single. And now Osuna to Salvador Perez.
Salvi taking a couple of deep breaths, able to relax those muscles and keep the hands loose. I doubt Salvi will get another fastball down the middle like he did the first pitch.
2 down, and now Alex Rios. After the game, it's Boulevard Royals Live with Joel and Monty. Luke Hochevar and Greg Holland. Holland just starting to loosen up. Blue Jays in the bottom of the 9th inning have Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion. 1-1 on Rios. Roberto Osuna out of the Blue Jays farm system. Signed him out of Mexico. His uncle Antonio Osuna played parts of 11 seasons in the big leagues. And Roberto, they say, was playing with the pros in the Mexican professional leagues when he was a teenager. But he's very poised for a 21-year-old, and that's why John Gibbons has made him his closer. And he sends the game into the bottom of the 9th inning, tied at 6. Whatever that is. Number 1, and we think we have it answered, why Ryan Madson in the 7th instead of Herrera. Now, Madson has a lower ERA, or did have a lower ERA than Herrera, and has been great this year, but the 7th inning normally belongs to Herrera. Now, Madson was warming up in the 6th inning, and Ned hates to waste a reliever. But the next question will be, was Wade Davis available tonight? Because it was Madson, Herrera for 2 innings, and now Hochevar with Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion in the 9th.
Well, it's interesting to see Madson out there not using his changeup, and that's one of his best pitches. He didn't throw it one time his entire inning.
Hochevar got a little something on it. And that helped out Infante, and Donaldson is out. These look like Hochevar have something to take some of the steam out of that ground ball. We'll get another look. Well, maybe not.
Yep. Good effort. Infante had him played just right. Slight pull on the infield. And same with Bautista.
Another ground ball. This one to Escobar. 2 up, 2 down. 2 ground balls from Luke Hochevar, who's looking for a bounce back outing tonight. He had 13 consecutive scoreless outings before the game on Wednesday against Cleveland. And the Royals really got knocked around in that game. Jeremy Guthrie and Hochevar. Guthrie gave up 8, Hochevar 4. Indians were going to hit anything the Royals threw to the plate. It was just one of those days, and now Hochevar, through the toughest part of the Blue Jays order in the bottom of the 9th inning, has 2 ground balls. And a slider for a strike to Encarnacion.
He's got a nice overhand curve, and he'll reach 90 with his fastball. Excuse me, 95. Hadn't had a lot of success against Hochevar in his career. 2 for 12.
Hard curveball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hosmer wants it, and Hochevar gets the job done in the bottom of the 9th inning. So we will go into extra innings. The Royals are 6-1 this year in extra innings. Jack Link's protein snacks. Jack Link's all season long. Brett Cecil, who started the year as the Blue Jays closer and had 5 saves, now comes on in the 10th inning in a 6-6 tie. The Royals have been outstanding in extra innings. The Blue Jays have a losing record, and a lot of that has to do with a thin bullpen. And we told you that John Gibbons has settled recently on Bo Schultz, Aaron Sanchez, and Roberto Osuna for the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. But then the bullpen thins out after that, and the Blue Jays have not done well in extra innings. But Cecil gets an out on 1 pitch, and Fonte is 0 for 4, 1 down in the 10th.
Royals offense will see a guy throwing 88 to 94 with a sinking fastball, curveball, and a changeup.
Down and away, ball 1 to Escobar, who was hitless in his first 2 at-bats, and then 2 hits in his last 2 at-bats.
We showed you these last night, these splits. The lefties, they're having the pretty good year off of it. 297. Curveball, when it started up, it was up out of the zone. It froze Escobar. So when you see one like that, you make a mental note. You see how he gave up on it. It looked like it was going to be up and away. Snap back over the plate. Good pitch.
Started to go. No appeal. 2-2. Goins, 2 down. And now Mike Moustakas, 0 for 4 tonight, grounded into a double play last time up. Cecil has had a very interesting ride. First-round pick out of the University of Maryland by the Blue Jays as a closer, and then they made him a starter. Usually it goes the other way around, and he was a pretty good starter. Won 15 games in 2010, but the next year he lost 4 and 11 and found himself back in the minor leagues, and then they shifted him back to the bullpen.
Staying with that overhand curve to Moose. Doesn't want to throw him anything straight out over the plate. Couple hits and 7 at bats.
Shift. So we go to the bottom of the 10th inning. The Blue Jays have Smoke, Martin, and Carrera. Relievers tonight. Kelvin Herrera has gone 2 innings, and now Luke Hochevar is going to go 2 innings. And facing the teeth of the Blue Jays order in the bottom of the 9th inning, he got Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion. And now it's Justin Smoke, Russell Martin, and Ezekiel Carrera.
Like how Hochevar, he's gone right after these guys. He's attacking them. Fastballs and cutters down in the zone. There's a curveball for the first pitch, but he's done a nice job of really keeping that ball out of the middle of the plate on his powerful lineup. Especially last inning, going right through the meat of him. 2 ground balls and a pop-up.
Smoke has struck out 3 times, all those against Cueto. And then he grounded into a double play in the 7th inning, but the tying run scored on that play, and the Blue Jays 3-run 7th.
Gibbons doesn't exactly have a base stealing threat off of his bench. I guess Danny Valencia would be the option if they felt like they needed to go to a pinch runner. Chris Colorado and then backup catcher Deoner Navarro. Caught the corner.
Moustakas backs up. 1 down in the bottom of the 10th inning. So Hochevar right back on track after the game on Wednesday in Cleveland. He has faced 4 and retired 4. Now gets Blue Jays catcher Russell Martin, who is hitless in 4 trips. Over the outside for strike 1.
Beautiful break on that curveball. Outer half. Mark 0 for 3 in his career. Hoch hit him once. That's a beautiful bender.
Crack bat, and that will drop. Martin is on with 1 out in the bottom of the 10th inning. Ezekiel Carrera, and this was seen as the Blue Jays' weakness, left field. And the Blue Jays did acquire Ben Revere earlier today from the Phillies to strengthen their outfield. And on the same day, Carrera has gone 3 for 4 with a run scored.
Keep swinging that bat like that. That'll make Gibbons put you in that lineup. He's had very nice plate appearances. The one bunt off of Cueto early was a rallying starter. That was a nice bunt. Was able to set the table up, score 2 runs at it.
1-2. Fastball at 95 from Hochevar. 2 down. Hochevar strikes out his first. And now Kevin Pillar, 2 hits and a sac bunt. He has driven in a run. No balls, 1 strike. Hochevar trying to go 2 innings for the first time this year. As it stands right now, it's the 3rd time he has gone an inning and 2/3. Liam Hendricks, who pitched for the Royals last year, waiting in the Blue Jays bullpen. And if the Royals can get it to the 11th inning, they have Kane, Hosmer, Morales, and Zobrist.
Oh, man. I think that's the guy they'd like to see.
Hit well to right field. Rios is there. So Luke Hochevar with a season high 2 innings, both scoreless. We head to the 11th and a 6-6 tie. Snacks. And the Royals 6-1 in extra inning games. Johnny Cueto in his Royals debut had a quality start. Gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. He struck out 7. And a rare off night for the Royals bullpen. So Blue Jays got 3 runs in the 7th inning against Ryan Madsen. And it appears, we'll see what happens, but it appears that Wade Davis is not available tonight. So Ed Yost thinking Madsen, Herrera, and then Holland to get through the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. Madsen gave up 3 runs, 4 hits. Herrera went 2 innings. Hochevar's gone 2 innings. And now it's Liam Hendricks in the 11th inning for Toronto.
Liam's done a nice job this year. 212 average against. He's got more velocity on his fastball than when he was in a Royals uniform. He was more of a starter then. Now he's in a bullpen. He's going to go with some 90 to 94 mile-an-hour fastballs. 95, excuse me. A little bit stronger. He's got to sink that fastball at times, a curveball and a changeup.
Yeah, normally a contact pitcher. He has more strikeouts than innings pitched.
He's been a reliable reliever this year.
Off the end of the bat. So Kane is out, 1 down in the 11th inning.
Looked like that pitch was a little bit of a slider. Good fastball early.
Curveball bends outside. Eric Hosmer on base 3 more times tonight. He has scored 2 runs. He has 2 hits, a 13-game hitting streak, and in 9 of those games, he's had more than 1 hit. Kind of a delayed call by Angel Hernandez. Hendricks started last year with the Blue Jays, and then the Royals picked him up. Royals had a need in the starting rotation, and Liam Hendricks, in his Royals debut on August 27th against his original team, the Minnesota Twins, gave up 1 run in 7 innings. Hosmer with a smash to first, and Smoke will go to the bag. And that ended up being the best start that Hendricks had as a Royal, but it was a night for celebration for him as he appeared to be back on track and gave the Royals one very good start, and now back with the Blue Jays again.
Yeah, I remember that. He was really excited. His wife came down on the field after the game, and you know, it was a special moment for them. Big game.
Fouled away by Kendrys Morales. Blue Jays bullpen has retired the last 12 Royals. Royals do not have a base runner since they tacked on a run in the 7th inning for a 3-run lead, and then the Blue Jays tied the game in the bottom of the 7th. A low strike, and it's 0-2. That fastball at 97 from Hendricks.
Well, you don't start, you don't throw that many pitches, but he's got confidence in his fastball, and he's just letting her all out.
Morales strikes out. And now Blue Jays relievers have retired the last 13 Royals. Cueto went 6, gave up 3 runs. Ryan Madson faced 4 batters in the 7th inning, did not record an out. Herrera went 2 innings, 2 scoreless innings. And then Luke Hochevar went 2 scoreless innings. And Morales will get the 9-1-2 hitters. It was the 9-1-2 hitters who started a 3-run rally in the bottom of the 7th inning, which tied the game. The Royals tonight have had a 3-0 lead and a 6-3 lead.
Yeah, you know, we're not used to seeing that, but these guys are only human. They're going to get nicked once in a while. This is the big leagues. It's unfortunate it happened tonight in Johnny Cueto's debut as a Royal, but you know, those things are going to happen. But they're still in the game. They're battling. They do have a 8-game lead in the division, so people can breathe. Gotta like how Ned and Dave Island have used Luke Hochevar this year early in the season. They took their time with him. And now he's the last day of July going a couple innings. Gotta like it. Quality innings too.
He's going to get a left-hand batter and then 2 right-hand hitters coming up. Tough against both.
You gotta love what he's done too. This guy's fastball slider has been pretty devastating. Fastball, he's comfortable around 93, but he has touched 95, but really good bite on his slider and extremely deceptive. Comes out of his delivery fast and quick. Hard for hitters to pick up that baseball.
Got him looking, so he comes back from 2-0 to get Goins. 1 down in the 11th.
Boy, nice pitch on the outer half of the plate. That ball crossed that dish was really good movement on that fastball. Yeah. Yeah. And Goins, you got to go.
Tulowitzki takes a strike. Former teammates here with the Colorado Rockies. To the gap. The Royals are playing deep. And Tulowitzki will hold with a long single. Now the beasts are coming up. Josh Donaldson has 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, and a run scored.
First time Donaldson's ever faced Morales. See if he can keep the ball out of the middle of the plate. Good spot. Salvi's setting up in. Want to tie him up. Don't let him get extended. These next 2 hitters coming up. Donaldson and Bautista, they don't miss out over the middle, especially this time of game. Royals so far been able to keep him in the yard.
Which has been a struggle for the league lately. The Blue Jays have homered in 12 straight games
since the break. Morales has induced 2 ground ball double plays this year. See if he can do it again.
3-1. Got the call. A lot of those pitches were really close up in the strike zone, especially the first one. You figured he was going to get one of those calls. So 3-2 with one out.
Uh-oh. Didn't step.
It was Angel Hernandez, the home plate umpire, who says that Morales stepped to the plate and then threw to first.
Ooh, man, that's costly. Putting him in scoring position. Let's watch Morales. Pretty close. That's borderline there. I don't know. Usually that first base umpire has a little better view of that angle.
He came closer to crossing his knees than he did a step to the plate.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
Unless that's what Angel Hernandez was saying, that the pitcher's front leg cannot cross the back leg and then throw to first. So the Blue Jays do it without a home run, but they walk off in 11 innings, and Josh Donaldson is the American League's leading RBI man. He has driven in 4 tonight, and the Blue Jays have won the first 2 games of the series.
5th walk-off this year for the Blue Jays.